I say, who that? R.I.P. Tom Benson. Shout out to the whole Who That Nation. Now who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk. I say who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk. Oh, who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk. I say who that? That fever, that flavor, that funk.
Saints Talk listeners, what's up? We're back for another episode of Saints Talk. I'm your host, Kevin Washington, and as always, I'm here with the man behind New Orleans Football himself, Nick Underhill. As you guys can see, I got my hoodie.
Oh, you got the hoodie? I didn't even know.
The hoodie on. Look, man.
Let's see. You got a little more room in those sleeves. Is that okay?
No,
I see you got a little more. I see you got a little more room in there. Yeah.
Look.
That's good.
When you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you play good. When you play good, they pay good. So Dion said it best. So the hoodie's in the building, and that's all the action I need, man. Make sure you guys go to neworleans.football/subscribe. The link will be in the show notes. Pick a tier, pick which one works best for you. Make sure you guys are helping us out on the pod. 5-star ratings always help. Please go to YouTube, subscribe, like, leave comments, do all the other good stuff. So that helps us out a lot. And again, make sure you guys go to neworleans.football/subscribe. Pick a tier that works best for you. What's up? Saints, sir, what is this? Seven straight wins, 8 straight wins. I'm losing count at this point.
I mean, it's crazy kind of the way they're doing it, the way they've gotten it together. I know the defense just ranked up. But I mean, it helps when you get to add a game to your stats without adding any stats to your stats. So
that is padding.
Hey, it's a weird year though. I really don't know how to take that because this is like, all right, so like the Steelers, I think they played like Dallas as like 4th-string quarterback, and at some point, like that just kind of blends into the fabric, and it all kind of blends into the fabric at some point. Mm-hmm. But like, I don't know, like who cares about the ranking? Actually, like if you look on film, I think you could probably make an argument that they're a top 5 defense or whatever at this point.
Easily,
yeah. But like number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, whatever. But like you went to number 1, yeah.
I mean, look, here's something I learned though, that I remember like a while back, it used to be so important, who was the best at this, who's the best at that, who's the best running back in the NFL, who's the best, tight end. But it really matters within the confines of the team, right? As it pertains to your team and what you're trying to do, that's what really matters. So if they are number 3 or number 4 versus number 1, what changes? Right. It doesn't change anything. Right. If Teron Armstead is the best left tackle in the NFL or the 3rd best left tackle, like, what did it mean? It's just something for people to talk about. But look, they got a good defense. I don't think it don't really have to get more complicated than that. They're playing great defense right now. You can make a case that they're playing elite defense right now. I think that would be fair. And I think that's pretty much it. What other teams are doing defensively don't matter because the Saints are playing good regardless, right? If they gave up 50 less yards than another team, it doesn't matter because from what the confines of they're doing, it's perfect. And by the way, Nick, nice mic.
Hey, we're leveling up. Got to sound good.
I can't relate.
we gotta get the NPR going a little bit over here.
Yeah, so. I mean, your mic is probably floating. Is anything holding it up? Is that a feature of the mic? It's just sitting there.
Hey, man. It came with the sweatshirt.
My mic is on 2 books.
Oh man! So, what do you want to talk about? Taysom? You want to go to Taysom?
Oh, we have to talk about Taysom. I mean, we have to talk about Taysom. I think, to be honest with you, that may be the only thing you can glean from this week. Look, I'm gonna just come out. I'm gonna put my take out there at the start, and then we can get deeper into it if it's even necessary. I think Coach Payton is protecting his quarterback, which is, if you're not Bruce Arians, then that's what you typically do, right? You don't say your quarterback can't read defenses, right? And so he said that, and I do think the game plan got reduced, right? Definitely reduced game plan. Smart thing to do, smart coaching. Coach Payton talked about we didn't try to block any punts. We played it safe. We was watching out for make sure we don't give up any, special teams touchdowns or anything like that. Fair catch the ball. Don't be risky. Don't give this team a free score because this is the type of game it is. We just need to not let them get any sneaky points, and we're going to win this game. So I agree that happened, but to say that, he played conservative and his performance was okay, not buying it. I think he played horribly, and he made some throws that, if you're playing conservative or aggressive, it's just not good. So that's my take. We can go deeper into it, but do you disagree? You agree? What did you see? I mean, what did you see from Hill this game?
I mean, I think there is probably an element of protecting him. They have two very good safeties, Simmons in particular. So there are ways, as Peyton said, there's ways to lose the game. And I think one of the ways to lose the game was to challenge him and try to beat him. And I think once you got into it a little bit, you became more conservative because you saw how the flow of the game was going. And I think it started out as conservative. And then I think the first series went a certain way and it wasn't great. And then they got a lead, and then you could go ultra conservative. You found out you could stop their Wildcat. They weren't going to surprise you. Ronnie Brown wasn't, ascending from the heavens to carry the Broncos to victory or whatever. But look, so I understand
Ronnie
Peyton's
Brown.
point of view, and I think he's telling the truth about the approach and how Taysom managed it, and him being happy with how the game went and everything.
Yep.
But here's the thing: for us on the outside, they're talking about, we're talking about this guy as a possible successor to Drew Brees. Drew Brees thought about retiring at the end of the season. When he goes into a game and he throws a pass and it's not one of these like weird plays that they're just rolling out there in the middle of a game, we're going to analyze everything he does because there's 39 throws and we're trying to figure out what this guy is. And maybe it's not fair to make, maybe we made too much of game one. We're going to probably talk and make too much of game two. And when game three happens, it'll level out a little bit, but we'll make too much of everything that happens in that game too, because there's just only so much evidence. And I agree with you. Like, there was stuff he did that I thought wasn't great. I mean, you can kind of go through and look at some of the throws he made and you see other options open on plays. And, there's just going to be a lot of second guessing, and he left himself open to it. And I think he kind of admitted to it after the game when he said, as a competitor, that isn't how I wanted to perform, but I did what I needed to do to manage the game. Right. And I think both things are true.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm with you. I think you nailed it. If you're playing conservative, that you don't throw that ball that you threw to Cook, right? I mean, I don't understand why that ball comes out of your hand if the goal is to not.
There's a guy open down the middle too. So
right there, right? Why are you throwing the ball to Mike Thomas? And listen, guys, there's a film. Nick wrote an article, film study this week. He's getting into some of this stuff. He didn't kill him because Nick's a good guy, but he did kind of go into some of the things he didn't do well. But
I don't think it's fair to kill him. I don't think it's fair to kill him. Yet.
I agree with that. I agree with that. It's not fair to kill him because if you didn't crown him the first game, then you can't kill him the second game, right? I think it's just you're getting more data. You're getting more and more data, and I think that's how you have to look at it, right? But I just don't buy completely that he played exactly like he wanted him to play. When he fumbled.
Yeah,
he keeps fumbling. That's it's such a problem. It's such a big deal. He fumbles every game, and it's not getting talked about because I guess he falls a lot. He falls on top of a lot of them, but that's a problem. I thought the interception. Me and you argued about something that we agreed about, which that means our friendship is intact. But he made he made the right read, but he read it late, or I don't know what he saw, but he shouldn't have threw that ball, even though it was the right read because it was late. That was a bad pass. I just don't think he looked good this game. I don't really know what he did this this game other than run the ball. So, and Paul, my board is. I did finally clean my board. So,
there were some things happening in this game. Going through it, the interception, I took a little bit off of him because if you look at how Mike Thomas ran that route, it looks like a guy that might have an ankle injury, kind of. And
yeah, that's good.
I think the thing that makes Mike special, and the thing he has that's different than everybody else, and the only way I can describe it is violent snap in the way that he can plant and turn. And, that's how you can be a 4-5-7 guy or whatever he is and get open like a 4-3 guy, because he can plant and turn in ways that are otherworldly that other people in the NFL can't do. And it's just, that's his special, that's his trait. That's his superpower. And I don't know that maybe it was just a bad route. Maybe he was hurt, but there was something on that route that wasn't quite all the way to my eye and again, I'm projecting it. Like, I don't know. Like, to my eye, it didn't look exactly like Mike Thomas. And I don't know Mike Thomas to run routes anything other than perfect. So
yeah, he had a hitch when he came out of his break at his route stem. He just like it took him an extra step, maybe even two. I would have to look at it again to kind of get into that break. Well, before that's a one step, boom.
I still don't know if the ball was coming out at the right time, but I think maybe it was a little bit late. Maybe the route was a little bit different than expected, and that's how you get an interception on that play. But look, there's just things that we're going to find out about him. And we were talking about this during the game. Against Atlanta, it was all cover 1, cover 3, and that's single high safety on the outside. It's going to be you're manned up basically, and then over the middle on 3, it's zone, and 1, it's man. So if you're reading the outside of the field, it's pretty easy, and then you can kind of just see what's happening over the middle. And if you're just doing those two things for a quarterback, it's a little bit easier to discern those, and that's how Atlanta played. Denver was kind of throwing everything at them, and I think it was a little bit harder. And I asked Peyton about it after the game, and I'm going to say this just to be fair to the process. Like, he poo-pooed it and basically said that wasn't a thing, but maybe it was. Yeah, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But like, I think we're going to find out in this game, because Atlanta can't go back and approach it the same exact way. They got to throw everything at them to see how it changes. And I think this game is going to be very telling. And look, just to go back to like the being fair to Taysom, or the whole process, I think you could probably go through Tom Brady's career, Drew Brees' career, Peyton Manning's career, Aaron Rodgers' career, Patrick Mahomes' career, and find singular games where they did not play well and that did not define them. Taysom's had 2 games. Maybe this is just a weird game, and he bounces back and he becomes great. And this is just, we look back in years and say, that was funny how we overreacted to that Broncos game, but maybe we don't. Like, we just don't know enough yet. And that's why you got to see the whole process. That's why you can't crown him off 1. You can't bury him off 2, and you probably can't do anything after 3. We probably won't be any closer to knowing the 4, but if it goes drastically one direction or the other, at least you're closer to knowing. And I think if I had to guess, I would guess Brees is probably back. I think he has that Kansas City game. If you're Drew Brees, you want to play against.
I was
Kansas
about to say,
City.
is that in the dome, or is that in KC?
That's at home, yeah.
Man,
so he wants to play Mahomes. He wants to have the Super Bowl preview.
Yeah,
he wants to be on the field in that game. So I think Taysom likely has 2 more, maybe more. But I would, if I was, I had to go to Bovada and place a bet, or Bet Online AG, or whatever, whatever online casino, FanDuels, whatever it is, whatever people are using, I would go out there. I don't think we can even do that here yet. Soon, I think it passed. I think they passed in the vote. Anyways, 2020
free agents, baby.
2020, whatever it is, sports folks, hit us up.
Hit us up.
Yeah, I mean, it's
some codes.
But anyways, we're still data collecting. So like you said it best, we're data collecting. We're gonna find out. It's just it's where we're at. It's you have to analyze every step of it. I know it's probably not super fair to him, but that's just how it's gonna. That's it's how it is. There's so much on him.
Here's the deal, right? So I think Taysom is a little bit. Well, let me rewind a little bit. So you made the point, and we were talking about this during the game, and like, hey man, this is. And listen, if you know Fangio's he's the king of zone coverage in the NFL. There's no question about it. And so, excuse me. So you're going to see him run cover 2, cover 4, cover 3. He's going to run some man. He's going to run some 2-man. He's going to run some quarters. He's probably going to play some quarter half. He's the king of like zone pattern matching, right? Like he'll run a zone defense, but this guy, he's a football genius. I think I would probably think he's probably top 3 defensive coordinator in the NFL. Probably number 1 off the top of my head. Him, DA. I guess DA is up there definitely, but he's just one of those guys, right? And he's really football smart, and he can take a defense with not a lot of talent and can make them look good. And you get him a defense with a crazy amount of talent, you get that 2011, 12, and 13 San Francisco defense, and the recent Chicago Bears defense up until the season before last. So he's really good at that. And so Taysom probably ran into the toughest defensive scheme that he's going to see as it pertains to what he sees on the field. Because I think the problem with Taysom is he doesn't see things quickly, right? I always hear Greg Cosell, he called it isolate and eliminate, which I think is a good way to think about it, right? Like you got to identify what's not there so you can identify what's there, which, it's an interesting way to think about it. And so I think that that's something that he's not necessarily good at right now. And it's understandable, but going against a guy like Fangio is gonna stand out more. And so I do give him a bit of a pass there because you're not gonna run into guys like that every week. But teams see one thing and they're gonna start doing more and more of it. So you got to think Atlanta's going to try to play more maybe zone defense, but it's hard for you to switch up what you've been doing all season too. So we'll see how this game goes. That is the main thing I'm looking at for this game. I'm looking at Atlanta's safeties and their corners. I just want to know how they're going to play this guy, right? You can't do the same thing you did last game. So it's a big deal for him. I think that we've seen nothing of this guy. He's 30. We have to overanalyze it. We don't have a choice because it's either him. And by the way, another thing that's making it tough is you got Jameis Winston on the sidelines who just threw for 5,000 yards or however much you threw for 30 picks. But, I'm just saying so yeah, it is some pressure there. And I think it's understandable that, people like us, we're talking and overanalyzing it because I don't think we're overanalyzing it.
Yeah, it's impossible not to. It really is because, again, Breeze talked about coming close to retiring at the end of the season, and that would put him right in the spot. Like, this is the guy, 3 years developing. You've heard so much about him. Mm-hmm. I still think he has traits. There's something about, I don't know, like the things that he didn't do well in the first game, like we kind of marginalized because the things he did well, and then the things he did well didn't show up in the same way. And then the things that we were marginalizing seem to be amplified. Mm-hmm. And
that's a good point.
We'll see how it goes from here. I mean, he just needs to take that step forward. I also think that there's probably an incredible amount of pressure on this player from himself. Like if I was him, I'm 30 years old. I got paid all this money. The most hated player in the NFL on Twitter for some absurd reason because
that's so crazy, man. I hate that. I hate that.
Yeah, and I shouldn't even say this, but he's like the nicest person in the world. It's just like this guy's just here like doing his job. They paid him a lot of money. That's not his fault. Like he got paid the amount of money that they thought he was worth. Like he didn't hold anybody up. He didn't say pay me so you can't pay whoever. He just got paid a lot of money because they thought he was good. He did his job. They thought he was good. He got paid it. And now he's just here doing his job and like people don't want him to succeed. I don't know. I just think in the situation he's in, it's tough and it's a little bit. Look, Teddy was in a similar situation too, but I think it's a little bit different because he had already proven himself. People believed in him, and he just needed to show a little bit. And I think he had probably done enough in the preseasons to get a shot, even if he never got one with the Saints. Mm-hmm. I think Taysom's kind of like feeling like this is it. If Drew retires and they go somewhere else next year, do I ever get a chance to be a starting quarterback again?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you'll be in camp, but like this is your, you can't replace this game time. And again, I go back to the fact that Jameis Winston is right there on the sidelines. And I think it's exacerbated by the fact that, Brady's not looking great in Arians' offense right now, which is crazy. Brady would have been the Saints quarterback if Drew, I guess, because Glazer had to report that, they were looking at Brady and Brady was waiting for the Saints to see what happened with Drew, which I'm glad that didn't work. I'm glad that didn't happen. I guess today we'll see what happens for the rest of the season. But, the fact that Winston is there is just something that makes it, it just adds another element to it. Like, I want to see Winston. I'll be real with you. Like, he's a first round pick. He's the most talented thrower on the team of the football as it pertains to arm strength. Now, I think talented thrower means anticipation, accuracy, a lot more other things, but he has this crazy arm. He has crazy talent, and you got a coach that can make pretty much anybody look. I don't want to say anybody. That's not right, but you got a coach who can probably help him out in a lot of the areas where he has some weaknesses, right? And so
you got a coach who can win with anybody.
I don't know. It's starting to feel that way. I wouldn't go that far. I think Mitch Trubisky and guys like that. I just think that you have a coach that if you have a skill set, he's going to put it on display and get more out of you than maybe some other coaches will. And you have a team that's loaded, right? So I think it's a combination of things why he's Guys, Teddy went 5-0 last year. Now he's 7-0 in the last 2 years with backup quarterbacks. I think there's a reason because he just knows what he's doing. I think he's
because he can win with anybody. With this team, with this roster, look, obviously you wouldn't.
I get what you're going. I get where you're going.
Like, yeah. I mean, I don't think he'd put himself in a position to have to win a game with Mitch Trubisky, but like he can probably win a game with a McCown in this system. Like any quarterback that kind of fits what he's doing, I think that he can figure out a way to win a game with this roster. I don't think that you can give him a bad roster and bad players and you win with anybody. But with this roster, with a good quarterback, to an average quarterback even, I think they can figure out ways to win games. And
he coaches his whole team too. He's not one of those guys that just doesn't pay attention on defense. He's going to DA like, all right, here's the game plan. Here's how we switch things up. Special teams coach, here's what we're going to do because of the quarterback situation. So I think you're right. He can get his team in a position to win in the ways that a lot of other coaches can't.
I mean, look, what's their record right now? And they've been without their all-pro left tackle, their Pro Bowl left guard, the offensive player of the
wide
year,
receiver.
the quarterback, Marshawn Lattimore missed time. Like, at what point, like, somebody needs to start the campaign, and it might as well be us. Like, that Sean should probably be the coach of the year if he keeps this up. Like, and I don't even know how much further he has to go to earn that. Like, I think that I don't know. Like, who else are you including in that conversation? Whoever's the new coach or whatever that everybody's into, like, that's always the person who ends up winning it.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody else is coaching better than Sean right now, and that's just the honest to God's truth. Like, they're winning games without everybody, and it doesn't matter. Like, it just doesn't matter.
There's not another coach in the NFL you trade for Sean Payton. Like, I just don't. I don't see it because I think you can see the evolution of his career as a coach just over the years, and it's like these small details that people don't think about, like they don't get missed.
Hey, shout out to my guy Jameis 101 too. He's the one who kind of like started that campaign. So I'll say he started the campaign. I'll hop on his. I'm giving the man credit. Like he was calling it out before anybody. Even after they went with Taysom instead of Jameis, and he wrote a book about Jameis. So
hey,
shout
out.
Yeah.
Shout out. but yeah, I'm with you. But I just think that you got to give Sean. Like, I'll put it like this. I was watching the Eagles game. Gosh, that was last night. I forget days. And listen, my feelings about Carson Wentz have been pretty public. I thought he's a great quarterback, great coming out.
Can we talk about something else?
Listen, man. No, I'm not going there. I'm not going there deep.
Right.
I'm not going there deep. But what I'm saying is I was watching the difference in the coaching styles, and I'm thinking, you have a quarterback who's struggling, who's getting hit, who's making bad decisions, because that's what quarterbacks who get hit do. And they're running spread man routes, no blocking running back, blocking tight end. The offensive line can't block. And they're running isolation man routes, no pick routes, no rub routes, no nothing, no man beaters, no bunch. And I'm just thinking, we're so used to seeing Sean do smart football coach things, right? And put guys in position to win. And it made me appreciate like what he does on a week-to-week basis, because you just don't see that type of stuff from him. You don't see the O-line get killed all game, right? He's going to get the ball out. So that's it, man. I just had to. It's just a parody, man. It's so easy to see when you look at something else. I'm done. Hey, talk about my guy, man. Talk about Big Fish.
I'm not. Yeah, all right. I'll do that. I mean, at least nobody's forcing passes them when there was. I mean, Carson missed, like, somebody broke down a couple of plays where, like, there were guys not even covered on the left side of the field, and he was forcing passes to.
He's playing
Goddard.
like crap. He's playing like crap. But you play like crap when you play like crap when you get hit and you lose confidence. Right.
You play like crap when the other team builds a statue of the backup quarterback out front of the stadium when the locker room's divided over.
Come on. Like, someone got to explain to me how the guy from 2017 disappeared. I need to know what the hell happened there. Because that dude was like MVP level guy before he got hurt. It was Frank Reich and Filippo, them guys leaving. I think somebody need to have a little bit of conversation about that, because
maybe they just had a good enough team that year to win with anybody,
or maybe someone ain't coaching good.
Could be that too, or it could be both things. It could be a little bit of both.
Players can't overcome bad coaching. It's impossible. That's I just think that Anyway, Big Fish. Yeah, about Big Fish, man. I want us to. We should have put a trademark on that. I'm feeling a little like played, man. Like I need a little.
Nah, man. I want it out there. Hey, man. If people know where the wave started.
No, that's fine. But just when, like, if you go to New Orleans.football and you hover over a picture, you'll see who took the picture. You know what I mean? It's right there. So and so from USA Today, right? I mean,
hey, I don't need credit, man. I don't need credit. It just means people are paying attention. You'd rather have them. You rather have them, taking our stuff than us taking theirs. You know what I mean? Right. So
tough question for you: Is he TE1 or was this a one game thing?
No,
or is there a TE1?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's tight end one. I think they played in a game that was run heavy, and Jared Cook isn't a good blocker. I think you don't want him out there putting his legs at risk. I think that's probably something that you kind of have to manage with him to make sure that he's going to last the season. But I think he's playing very, very well at this point. I think his pass protection has a ways to go. I thought he did a little bit better in this game, but the one before, like he isn't blocking a defensive end, and when he's kind of like planted and coming up, he's just not. I don't think he's strong enough. I don't think he's technically refined enough yet to kind of always consistently hold his own in that. But when he's moving forward, the want to and all that stuff, the technique, it's all there. Like you saw how much he wanted to block it in college at Dayton.
He likes it though. Yeah.
Yeah. He just maybe didn't necessarily know the right way to do it, but now he's learning that. And I think he's become a very good blocker in the running game. And, I think you see his route running show up. It's just, he needs more opportunities. And, I've heard that people with the team are very pleased with how he's developing. I think that there's a lot of confidence in him, and they're pleased with, like I said, the way he's going right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. I was listening to Coach Payton on the coaches show, and he was talking about Troutman and how he was like, man, I was just looking at the play sheet and I'm thinking, yeah, we're featuring him more. He spoke about, like you just said, because it showed up on the film and the coach sees it just like you do, is that, his run blocking is, is picking up, and it's something that, it's becoming an asset to him. And so I remember at the beginning of the season, I'm not too long on. He was my favorite draft pick, right? I was pretty open about that. But I said, best case scenario for him this year, not best case scenario, but like you would take it if he just gives you formation versatility, right? If you can put him in the game and run some 13 personnel, run some 12 personnel, show run, but actually pass. Like when he's in the game, you don't get a cue on what's going to happen, right? And so I think that's important, right? I think he's doing that right now on some level, and he's growing to that. And so, Coach Payton, he also said, like, hey, going to the second part of this year, I think you're going to start seeing us use him more because, like you guys, again, go look at the film study article. They're doing some things out of 13 personnel that they've done maybe once this year, right? And so just having another tight end that's flexible can give you that. So I just think that that's another weapon for the offense, because you don't need him to go out there and get 100 yards, but if you can have him in and maybe get a wide receiver running open over the middle because he keeps another guy in the box, that's a plus.
Yeah, he's opened things up a little bit. They definitely didn't have those options before with some of that stuff with 13, and there's some stuff they're doing this year in 13 that they haven't really done since like 2017, 2018, just because they didn't have the personnel to do it. So he's going to open that up, and then also they got him lining up in different spots on the field. You see some plays coming out of the backfield, and I think that in some of the more creative Taysom stuff, like he gives you a little bit of flexibility there with his athleticism. Josh Hill does a lot of that stuff. I don't think we talk about Josh Hill enough and the things he does. He is, and when he's not out there, you notice, and then when he is, like you kind of notice his presence out there. So he's not someone that gets highlighted enough, but he's the tight ends. If Troutman keeps going, Cook just picks it up a little bit. I'll own it. I think, my Cook stuff was probably my worst take of the offseason. And I'm really surprised by kind of how the season's going with him. I kind of thought maybe his stats would go back, but I said, his film would look better than it did a year ago. It doesn't right now.
Something ain't right. Something is just not like clicking there, man. I don't know what it is. Maybe he picks up at the later in the season like he did last year. I don't know.
They tried to call, it looked like they tried to call some plays specifically for him, not this week, but the play before or the week before. There was some stuff that opened up, and then it just didn't work out for him. But yeah, I mean, this season I think has been tough on him. And I asked him a couple of weeks ago about how he would evaluate himself, and he said he's not happy with how he's playing and how things are going. So
Yeah.
If he picks it up, if there's maybe when Breeze comes back, it click in for him, and
Like last year.
if he hits for the run. And look, this is probably something else we should discuss. Like it's kind of a weird year in that they're probably the best team in the NFL, and offensively outside of Alvin. Like who are you highlighting as having a good season right now?
Armstead.
Okay.
And
skill position. Murray's had some games.
Murray.
Like
maybe Latavius Murray.
Everybody's had some games.
Yeah, it's
but
no
like, it's
one
just
guy. That's a good point. Yeah.
And Alvin's even been hurt by.
He got a foot.
I think there's a thing too in the league. If you look across the league, and this is just a hunch, but it's just a feeling I have. I would guess that players playing with quarterbacks who can run, like running backs that play with quarterbacks who can run, probably don't catch that many passes because you aren't going to get those checkdowns late. Like if the quarterback sees something, like Breeze has to get rid of the ball. Like things start shutting down. His clock's a little bit quicker. He's looking to the running back. I think a quarterback who can run is A, going to sit in the pocket a little bit longer because they think they can get out of it if things close in. And then B, instead of going to the check down, they're going to take off and run it. I bet if you look at guys that play with athletic quarterbacks who can do those kind of things, there's probably not a lot of running backs eating on those, check downs and things like that.
That's probably good.
Just a hunch.
Yeah, specifically that position. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with it. I'd buy that. All right. Let's talk about the linebackers because
he's got to get the ball to him better on those called screens, though, man. There were a couple.
I don't even want to talk about that screen where he just hesitated.
He said Alvin hit was bumped into the defensive end and then it just wasn't there. I don't know. Like something was off. Something was off with it.
He should have threw the ball. Yeah, he was off. Yeah, he didn't throw the open pass. I watched that play from both angles and
maybe from his point of view, because if you look at it, it is a little bit the picture is a little bit muddled. But if you were looking at it from I know, but there might have been something when he looked at it, is the first look it wasn't there, and then
here's what I think. I think that Taysom Hill at times probably think it's 15 defenders on the field. I really feel that way. I'm not trying to be funny, but he's probably seeing a lot, and when you're seeing a lot, you're seeing a little. It's just he's probably and it's so. I mean, listen. This kid, I forget the kid who played quarterback for the Broncos, Kendall Hilton, I think. He just showed us how hard it is to play quarterback in this league. So
yeah,
I'm saying all this from the sidelines in my comfortable chair, looking at TV on my, looking at the game on my screen. I'm not out there. So with that's the point of view that I have. So I respect how hard it is for even just a backup. But that's that screen pass. I think that's just something that you expect him to just throw it. Okay.
I know a lot of dudes that'll argue that I could hit a pitch in baseball, or I could make a shot in the NBA. Or
I was one of those dudes until this week.
I could complete a pass in the NFL. No, you couldn't. This dude that played quarterback in college, but wasn't really a great college quarterback. Couldn't complete passes in the NFL. If we're taking screens off the table, you cannot complete a pass in the NFL.
No, I thought
every drunk dude in America that's sat in the bar and watched the game has made that comment at some point. You just lost that argument.
Yeah, no, I was one of those guys. I'm sorry to every quarterback who's ever played, because I'm not. Listen, I was just watching that guy just run around, and he had no idea. And I just kind of feel bad for him. I feel bad for him. I still want them to hit him though. I mean, listen, you out there, but I just was watching the game man, this is really hard. This is you don't just go out there and it don't just happen automatically. There's a lot that has to take place for it to get, just a completed pass takes a bunch. When he was 1 for 8 or something, I'm like, come on, man. So shout out to him though. But yeah, all right. So defense, linebackers, they're playing fast, man.
Yeah, they're real good.
Yeah, they cover a lot of ground. I mean,
I don't know what else I'm supposed to say. They're real good.
I'm watching guys in the flats. I'm like, oh, they're already there. And I like in my mind, the Brandon Browner season is just like tattooed into my brain. You got, I don't know, was David Hawthorne playing linebacker with Curtis Lofton?
It's fun, Anthony. And look, the one thing that nobody ever talks about though is like Browner was horrible. Browner was horrible. He was not good. Stephon Anthony, they played cover 3 like as their primary coverage that year, and he never covered the lower portion of the field that he was supposed to cover. And he made Browner look at least 27% worse than he should have. But like it was a duo and only one guy. Like if you're watching a quarterback covering, like he's just not like covering the spot or whatever. Like people are gonna be like, what is he doing? He doesn't know what he's doing. But like, no, the linebacker wasn't covering it. Yeah, it was both of them. It was a bad combination.
It was a bad combination. You couldn't put like I don't want to say low IQ because that's an insult, but like football wise, it just wasn't.
There was a guy playing linebacker on that team that's like an Instagram model now. Like there was a lot of stuff going on.
You got a reporter ran out of town.
Somebody needs to write the book on that 2015
Somebody got to write a book on that season. Was Gillette there that year?
Yeah, I mean there were.
Oh man. Oh my God.
There's stories about like dudes like fighting naked in the locker room. Like there was a lot going on that year, man. There was a lot going on that year.
Yeah, that year was crazy. One defensive lineman got into a fight with someone. I remember. I forget his name. Yeah, that was a crazy team.
Brandon Dedrick. Yeah,
Dedrick. Yeah. He got into a fight with someone. I forget who it was. Man, that was a. Yeah, I'm pretty sure someone is gonna. I mean, I guess Gillette already told the book on Twitter. He's putting everybody business out there, but yeah, it's good to see. Like with Quan Alexander, he just plays fast. With him, I think you can, as long as he's playing fast, you're cool with it. What I do think he's allowed is for DeMario to do more of what he does best. DeMario's good at everything, but he sees plays as good as any Saints linebacker, probably on par with John Vilma. Just that I've like watched and studied. I didn't study Dome Patrol film because I was younger at the time, but yeah, when you see him play, like he just IDs a play before it even happens, and he's in the backfield making a tackle before the lineman gets a chance. So yeah, those guys are playing well, man. I think they've upgraded. I think that position has played a big part in the recent defensive success, and it just fast linebackers it just changes the defense. Everything looks different with those guys.
Yeah, they need the one thing I think with Quan, and it's the only negative, and it's a known negative, is that he does miss some tackles, and I think he's probably at like 3 or 4 in 4 games now. I mean, not a big deal. He's getting places that he can go. There's other players with range, for what you paid for him. It's a super bargain, and I think he's going to keep. I think he's somebody that's probably going to keep getting better as he gets more comfortable in the system, and I think you're seeing that every week. Like you said, he's been a huge difference maker already. But that's just the one drawback is that, sometimes he gets in position to make plays and they just don't get completed, which is fine. Sometimes he's holding the guy up, he's slowing him down, whatever.
Yeah, I'm going to say if he gets his hand on the guy and that gives the other guys time to get there, then I guess that's better than what.
That's a play AJ Klein wasn't going to make most of the time. And no offense to AJ Klein, I actually think that losing AJ Klein was something
until Alexander.
Yeah.
I think we spoke about that, and I was like, I don't know, Anzalone, but then Anzalone didn't, it didn't work out, and the Saints told you that they agree with you because they went and signed the guy. So yeah, I think it worked out. So but yeah, I think the defense is. I want to say, man, I feel like I said this last year and the year before, but they're playing just as well as I've seen them play on that side of the ball, maybe in Peyton's tenure. And when I look at the defense, and I must have spent like 20 minutes on this, I think it was yesterday. And I was like, I'm trying to figure out what their weakness is, right? Like if there was a spot on the defense that you could upgrade, I don't know what it would be. Maybe another inside pass rusher. If you force me to say something, that would definitely be it. But DeMario's doing that really well. So I'm just looking at this team and I'm just thinking on that side of the ball, what do you upgrade, right? What's the position that you push the next step button on.
Interior for sure. I agree with that. Maybe
depending on what Marshawn you get that day.
I could see going for another edge rusher.
Okay.
You could add another one to the mix. Just however you want to use them.
Granderson replacement.
Yeah, I mean, there's snaps for that player.
But you're talking about a third or fourth string player right now. That's the crazy part about it, right?
For the people that just listen to the audio, we stream this live, and there's people in the chat saying free safety. Look, I think Marcus Williams has been playing well. I don't know, like if you could get somebody that you aren't ever going to worry about missing a tackle that also has that ball hawking ability, maybe. I mean, long term, yeah, I know for this season, I don't know. Like, I don't even know who that player is.
I just thought about what I would get. I just thought about it. I would like a good slot corner who could cover really well out the slot, like a coverage guy, like someone who could, like, because
Patrick Robinson.
They don't play him there, man.
But they could. I mean, there's a reason they don't. They keep Chauncey there.
But they were interested in Chris Harris. They were interested in Chris Harris too. Remember before the start of the season, and he's a slot cornerback.
He's an inside out guy. But yeah, I mean, I think that the level of upgrade, then you find a way to play CJ somewhere else. You probably don't bring in Malcolm if you make that move, and you just kind of reconfigure your defense. But I think you do gain things having CJ in that spot. His run stopping ability shows up from there. His ability to blitz shows up from there. Some of the stuff in the box. So I mean, you get a plus, and there's probably a slight minus if he's covering. I don't even know who it would be at this point. A prime Julian Edelman, someone. Someone. In some of those matchups that you're just probably not going to get the upper hand, and the super high end. Like but he makes up for it in other ways.
Going forward,
I think the defensive revival is kind of DeMario always talks about it being Marshawn and Marcus. Like I think it also came about when Chauncey kind of hit his groove. I think he's another player that should be credited for helping lift all tides.
He had a slow start too, didn't he?
He did, and then once he hit it, it was kind of like it's weird, man. Everybody kind of clicked in at the same.
It's weird, man.
There was like a 2-game window. Yeah,
yeah, that's a good point. And I'm with you. The reason I say slide is because if I was a team, if there was a place I would try to attack the Saints, then that would be the place. I don't want to run on them, right? I don't think I can really have a lot of success throwing at because Janoris Jenkins is probably having the best season as a cornerback this year for the Saints. I think he's probably having a better season than Marshawn. Now, Marshawn has these highs that are just, Jenkins can't get to, but just consistently week to week, I think Jenkins he's been good, right? If I had to pick a place to attack them, I don't think you can attack the linebackers. I think, this slot corner in coverage, and I'm not saying it's a weakness. I'm just saying if I had to pick a place, I would put my receiver inside and make Garner Johnson cover him because he's better going forward than going backwards. I think he's an average cover player. I think he's an average player going backwards. I think he's electric going forward. Like when he's just blitzing and blowing up runs, I think he's elite. I think he's probably playing, close, maybe not on the level of Jamal Adams there because Jamal Adams is the best in the NFL at that, but just that type of player, I think it's fair to compare him to him just with how he's playing currently. But again, it's not a weakness, but I would inside pass rusher would be my number one though, just because, and I remember us talking about it that when Davenport came back, I was like, I think the defensive line is going to be the catalyst for this team picking up defensively. And that's kind of how it happened. It's crazy how, once those guys got going up front, everything got better.
What do you want to do? Go to questions?
Let's go to questions.
We need some questions. I don't know if we got questions in here. I wasn't ready for this. This is bad production value right now for the live viewer.
Let's see. So I was looking at some guys being nervous about Marcus. Marcus has his ups and downs. I think, and we'll get to the question, but real quick on Marcus, I think that when the defense is playing well, he is playing well. Like he kind of ebbs and flows with the defense. Like when the defense is looking bad, he's looking horrible. And when the defense is playing well, then he doesn't have as much to worry about. Marshawn and those guys on the outside are kind of protecting him, and he can kind of roam and be the guy that, kind of do what he's best at. So, yeah. So Rudy says, is Janoris playing this Sunday? Nick, I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, so what I heard is that it wasn't like a major injury, that he quote unquote should be fine. We'll see how that manifests, like if it puts him on the field this week or not. I mean, the one thing, look, this is inside baseball or whatever, but like our process of reporting on the team is going to be different now, because the league mandated these things where we aren't allowed to watch practices anymore that are indoors. The Saints practice almost exclusively indoors. I think they've had 2 or 3 outdoor sessions the whole entire season. They just played an outside game and practiced inside the whole week. So the odds of us actually seeing a practice are slim. So we're going to be relying on injury reports, sources, all that stuff. But, just some of the stuff you see just isn't going to be, it's harder to know exactly what's going on when you don't actually see these practices. So that's one thing that's going to change. But yeah, I don't think his injury was anything too serious. So if it takes him out, I don't think it's going to take him out very long. I wouldn't necessarily entirely. We'll see how it goes. But it's not a major injury, and that's kind of the thing that matters at this point. Like, it's just, it's not like he's going to be out for the playoffs or something.
Right.
Like
a week or two. Yeah. Sure. I'm sure glad that whole Saints can't play outside thing got killed, by the way. Just, you made me think of that.
James Hurst question. So I'll give my first impression. I thought he played really good. I thought early in the game they had a mistake on the left side of that line where him and Easton, I thought, kind of both looked bad on a stunt. They looked a little disorganized. But then after that, I thought they locked in. And I thought he was kind of one of the better players in pass blocking throughout the game. I thought he did a really good job. How quickly he settled in was encouraging. And they have some good players on defense. That's the one thing that I think kind of got overshadowed in all of this, is that the Broncos have some good pieces. They have a very well schemed defense. It's not like a league best unit, but there are players within that defense that are really good. And I thought the ends had, they were put to the test a little bit against some good players, and they held up really well. And I thought they kind of bullied them, up front. And the Broncos have some guys up front.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I think, listen, if you got a backup left tackle and the guy who he's backing up is top 2, top 3, maybe top 1 tackle, left tackle in the league, and you don't notice him during the game, then job well done. So yeah, I think he's playing well.
Do you want to I'll read it.
All right, you gotta go ahead.
I'll let you answer this one first, and then I'll come in behind you. I bet we probably got the. All right, I'll go for it. You want me to go first?
No, I know we're gonna say the same thing because we share a brain. Let's go.
We're going to say, someone's asking how they should align on the Chiefs. Who covers Travis Kelce? Who covers Tyreek Hill? I would put Malcolm Jenkins on Kelce, and I would put Marshawn on Hill.
On Hill. Yep.
He's fast. That's a matchup that he would embrace.
Yeah.
I think that he would do a real good job on him. The flip side of that is like, you could go Jack Rabbit in the safety.
Jack Rabbit is a little bit maybe shifty. He's a smaller corner. I think I would do Marshawn just because Marshawn likes challenges. I would just say, man, look, this guy's leading the league in yards. Well, he's 2 I think Metcalf passed him. Him and Kelce are like 2 and 3. I would just put a bunch of film on Hill in the locker room and have Tyreek Hill signs all over the place and piss off Marshawn and put a Mike Evans jersey on him and watch him have 5 yards that game. So yeah. Oh man.
All right. I'll let you go first on this one. What are the odds of Trey Hendrickson finishing as the sack leader?
I don't how is he like a half a sack ahead right now?
He's a half a sack behind.
Yeah, he's not gonna get it. Miles Garrett came back. He's coming back this week. He's probably not gonna get it. He's probably gonna get 10. He's gonna get over 10 sacks. 12. How many games they have left? They are 4, 5. Yeah, I just think Garrett is going to get it. I think Garrett is going to get it. If you guys just want to watch a pass rusher just like all game, just go watch Mouse. Every once in a while I go and check him out. That dude's ridiculous. I don't think he's blockable. Unless it's Toronto Armstead or something. But yeah, I think I would probably say that Garrett gets it, but I don't put nothing past Trigger Trey, man.
I mean, look, he's barking at the lead this late in the season, which is crazy. You know, if he had one more game where he gets 2 or 3 sacks, unfortunately they're not going to play Tampa Bay again.
Well, they play the Eagles though, so you never know.
So if he has one of those games, he like maybe. I mean, he's going to get probably 3 or 4. It's so crazy that he's having this season, but like I think he probably gets 3 more, honestly. And then like if he can get a couple cheap ones, you never know. Like I don't know what the number is to lead. It's 10 right now. They're 12,
no one is
they're 12
like
games in.
Yeah,
like 15 usually wouldn't put you at the top, but
right.
It might this year, 15 or 16. I don't know. Like I wouldn't bet on it, but I wouldn't bet against it.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Which is crazy. You should be surprised. Like I didn't see this season coming, but like now it's here and he's doing this. And look, I just did a story where I broke down all of them. Like it wasn't as absurd as people kind of talk about it. Like there's a few right place, right time, but I think everybody that has 10 sacks has a few where the right place, right time.
Right. Yeah.
So
that's a good point. I'm with you. And you know, they had some games where here's what I say what benefits him is that he has Malcolm Jenkins, Marshawn Lattimore, and Janoris Jenkins back there covering for him. So his chances of, you know, maybe being the sack leader in lieu of that is much higher than, you know, because if you had maybe some guys back there or how the team was playing earlier in the year. So
next one. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you take that. I was like, I'm not. Yeah, that's sure. You can have that one.
So I think somebody's asking the protocol for Armstead to return. He tweeted that he wasn't feeling good. I think once you show symptoms, you're out for 10, I think it's 10 days. Yeah. So he's probably going to be out for a while based on that. I just saw the question, but we'll end on this one. I'll just say it. Somebody asked what we would expect from Taysom this week. I'll let you go first.
I think you're going to see a more aggressive game plan, first and foremost. I don't know if Atlanta can start to play quarter coverages and all these other coverages when they've been playing cover 1 and cover 3 all week. So I think I think they're going to try to switch up the coverages a little bit more. I'm not sure how much you can do that midseason. You know, coaches coach what they know. Teams play what they play what they play and what they practice. So, but I expect them to have a better game than he had this past week, but he maybe not as good as the first game. I think maybe, you know, he's probably somewhere in between there on average, right? He's not as bad as he was this past week, but maybe on a week-to-week basis, he's not as good as he was like the first week. So what's below
as good as the first week? Because that was marginally.
That was a good week for him, though.
Yeah, but I mean, there was some stuff he missed some stuff too in that game, and then there's a lot of qualifiers. You know, a lot of qualifiers. If we're taking out those qualifiers and it goes backwards from there.
But they happen though, right? You know, it's the team games are defined by just a few plays.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, like he got 40-some yards on a pass that floated in the air, but then like this thing happened the other way, and it's like, oh well, like if that pass would have been completed, like, you know, it was like makeup things, and you're kind of like overlooking, and it's like, well, this was good, and if you take away these couple weird things, and he got hit as he threw this ball that floated in the air, but that's okay because they missed a call on that. Like we were kind of doing some of that stuff, and it's like if you take out the qualifiers and it's just the tape and it's a step back,
if then else, basically, kind of.
Yeah.
I think, but I do think that.
I think he matches it. I think he matches week 1.
I wouldn't be surprised. Okay.
200 yards, just an okay, solid performance.
Some runs in there, right? Yeah. I'll say this. I think that he maybe improves on some of the things that I could see a scenario where he does better, like seeing the field, right? Because they're going to coach they see the same stuff that we're seeing. Hey, Taysom, what did you see here? First game, okay. Second game was weird. You're playing this team. You're not going against Vic Fangio again, right? So I think I could see him having I could see your take. I could see him having the same kind of game. Maybe it's the Falcons. It's always a weird thing, but it's just hard to know with this guy, man. Like, is he the guy from the first game or is he the guy from the second game, right? I don't know, but I would guess that it's somewhere in between, maybe closer to the first game than the second game, though. But I want to
the weirdest thing to me is that his confidence seemed to go, like his confidence throwing in the first game was not an issue to me. I thought he got rid of the ball quickly, decisively. He saw things, he threw the ball, and that was it. And that part of that is the coverage. He was comfortable seeing the coverage. But even when there was stuff there in this game, like his confidence, I don't even know if confidence is the right word, but the ball wasn't coming out the same way. And part of me does wonder if that was, like he made some risky throws also.
No,
it's like, it's hard to evaluate.
I think you got the
part
right
of it,
train of thought
yeah,
there. Go ahead.
Part of it is that he was so in his head about not making a mistake.
Yeah. That's what
I think that
yeah.
you become scared to do things. But then he did make some throws that were a little.
But even when you
risky.
do right, I think you got it though. I think that was a point for like the first topic, which I'm glad you brought it up. Like I can see a case where you just don't, your defense is going to keep you in the game and you just are not making throws. And I think it also goes to you don't feel the confidence in pulling the trigger, right? I think it's twofold. It's one thing you're not making them, but two is like you're second guessing them, right? And you're not seeing things clear. So I could see the game plan and them telling him to be conservative, but him also feeling like he's got to make some throws and him just making some bad ones. I get what you're saying because there's a human element to it, right? You're like, oh, I can't turn the ball over, but I got to throw something, right? I want to be a quarterback one day. I got to make some throws. So I get it. I think it's a good point.
So, yeah, I don't know. That's right. We'll see. I mean, that's all I'm really going to say about Taysom at this point. I'm not making any conclusions. I'm not up on him. I'm not that. Like, it's just we take it bit by bit. Man. We evaluate it as it comes in. We evaluate the pieces probably in the moment, make too much of the pieces, but like it's just there's no conclusions yet. We just gotta see how it. See how the story ends up. Yeah,
we're rolling dice here. Like anyone who gets it right for this game, like they're a good guesser, right? Which there's no such thing as a good guesser. So, yeah. Well, all right, guys, that's gonna do it for us. Man, shout out to Chad again. You guys make the pod. Like you just change the dynamics of it. So we love it. Make sure you guys are telling your friends to check us out. We are here on YouTube. A few other places you guys can find us, but if you want to support, go to YouTube, like the channel, subscribe. Like buttons, you can click all the old videos and like those too. Make sure you guys are going to neworleans.football /subscribe. Pick a tier, pick which one works best for you. Make sure you guys are following Nick on Twitter at Nick_Underhill because pretty much everything that goes on the site is cycled through that Twitter account. And you guys can follow the neworleans.football Twitter account at NODOT football. With that said, thank you guys for listening. We will see you next week. We out.